Hello and thank you for watching. Just a little bit of context before we jump in. My opponent is a friend of mine who's been really excited for the new codex that came out. He released a 2,000 point Death Guard list last week and said that he was going to use that. So I gave that list to the Necron community over on Super Wargamers Discord, and they gave me this list to beat it. Their advice to kill something with disgustingly resilient was to overkill it, so I took a battalion detachment. Normally, they don't advise using heavy destroyers because they die easily, but there's 9 of them, with 2 stalkers added to that. My HQs were Warscythe Overlords. There's 5 death marks in Deep Strike, 20 Tesla Immortals for all the Poxwalkers, 10 Goss Immortals for the Plague Marines, and 9 Scarab Swarms. Originally I thought I was going to be fighting Hellbrutes and a Land Raider, but with the new Demon Codex out, he chose to bring almost all Nurgle demons. Here you can see his 2 battalion detachments and an Outrider detachment, Malignant Plague Caster and Demon Prince with Nurglings, Plague Bearers, and Poxwalkers. And then a Lord of Contagion, another Malignant Plague Caster, 2 Plague Marines, and Poxwalkers, and a Defiler with a Battle Cannon, Reaper Autocannon, and a Bolter. The Havoc Launcher, I guess, is just not on that one. And then an Outrider with another Lord of Contagion deep striking, 2 Bloat Drones, and 2 Plague Drones. The Bloat Drones were my primary target because they were his fastest unit. The mission we were playing was a generic Maelstrom mission with a max objective hand size of 3. I won the roll-off and decided to let him place the first objective so I could choose the side. As you can see, the results of the objective placement is pretty biased, with 3 in the middle and 3 in my deployment. Even though he got to deploy first, I knew that he had more units than me, and that I'd still get the +1 on a roll to get first turn. So I set up in the back behind these containers and spread out everything else in an attempt to try to deny deep strike positions. You can see the heavy destroyers with some immortal bubble wrap there. Perhaps there are some things I could have done better in my deployment, like perhaps putting my immortals out where they could shoot incoming infantry, but overall I felt really good about this, seeing as I had 3 objectives right off the bat, with 3 in range for me to grab at any time. I essentially had 3 targets to take down with my anti-tank weapons, the Defiler and the 2 Bloat Drones, which were spread out all over the place because he knew what I was trying to do. I won the first turn roll. I left most of my units where they were in the movement phase, considering I had everything in range except for the infantry, who couldn't really be in range from all the way across the table. I did move the bubble wrap surrounding the heavy destroyers, which was a mistake that I later paid for dearly. But largely, I think I had good positioning. I had terrible shooting, though. Out of the entire army shooting at the bloat drones, I only did 4 wounds to 1 of them. My turn 1 was pretty demoralizing. It's amazing how many shots you can miss when you're hitting on 3s, rerolling 1s, and wounding on 3. I know that disgustingly resilient is really frustrating, but I kind of expected it, and I brought overkill, so I should have been able to deal with it, but it just didn't happen. I just didn't get much of anything done. And so I was thinking I'm just going to lose this game at this point. On his turn 1, everything moved up, and both Lords of Contagion came in, 1 on the left, 1 on the right. And because I'd moved the bubble wrap on the right, he was able to get close to my heavy destroyers. His plague drone got so close that it was even able to shoot and kill one of my heavy destroyers, which was just downright insulting. Of course, the Lord of Contagion on the right managed to charge in and kill all 3 heavy destroyers, and then consolidate into the immortals that were bubble wrapping him. At this point, I was thinking to myself that I was pretty dumb of me, but Necrons, they survive, they endure, and they come back, and so I thought maybe I'll just try to play this game to win it and survive and maybe attrition him down. My turn 2 was a little bit better. I managed to kill the one wounded bloat drone and put wounds on the second one. I moved up my stalker to defend against any oncoming charges from my immortals. The infantry managed to shoot and do a couple of wounds, but not much. Everything was kind of safe in the middle from the scarabs blocking, and then I fell back from the Lord of Contagion with my immortals so that I could, I don't know, shoot him or something. My thinking here, with the placement of my heavies and my stalkers, was that I'm not going to be needing them for very much longer because he doesn't have many tanks. So I put them up front screening where they could get the best shots. I really didn't mind how this turn went, and I was just going to see how it goes because here they come. His turn 2 went a little bit better than I expected it would. He managed to kill both of the stalkers and shoot and charge into my immortal squad on the right with his bloat drone. I kept the infantry mostly alive, and everything was still in its place. I was feeling good still because I was ahead significantly on victory points, and I thought maybe I could win that way. On my turn 3, I fell back from the bloat drone and managed to kill it with the remainder of my heavy destroyers. It felt good having saved those immortals, but his Demon Prince was in close combat with my Goss Immortals on the left, so I used the Veil of Darkness to get them out of there and put them on an objective on the other side of the table. I also managed to set up this nice screen for my other heavy destroyers, hoping that perhaps at least one would come back to life some point during the game. He had a Poxwalker squad sitting on an objective I needed on the other side of this wall, so I shot at them with my Tesla Immortals and got lackluster results, and then charged my second Overlord over there to try to finish them off, but that didn't happen. It was at this point that I was realizing I was probably not going to win. There were some long shots that I could do to try to pull the game out, like slay the Warlord and killing his Defiler, but as everyone knows, Necron HQs can't really do much of anything, and so it just was going downhill and I was ready to concede. Somehow on his turn, while dealing really effectively with my Immortals, he didn't charge the heavy destroyers with anything but plague drones, and they all survived. His Lord of Contagion finally charged into the melee in the center, where the Scarabs had been battling the Nurglings and the Poxwalkers the whole game, and he ended that battle really quickly. His Defiler tried very unsuccessfully to clean up the right side of the board, where I knew I was going to survive the game. At this point, I still had 4 command points. I really had nothing to spend them on, so I was discarding my objective cards using command points to try to keep my victory point lead, but that was slipping and eventually lost. The game ended up going till turn 5, where we rolled and it ended. There wasn't really much else to do except, maybe try something crazy with my Warlord, almost get him killed with the Defiler, and just fall back. My heavy destroyers lived a lot longer than I thought they would, which was hilarious, but I didn't get a single heavy destroyer back for the entire game. No reanimation protocol. It was a pretty awful game, with very terrible rolls in the beginning for me. I don't really know what else I could have done except for not moving the bubble wrap in the beginning from my heavy destroyer. I'd love some advice if anyone has any. I don't know what to do here. I think everyone agrees Necrons are bottom tier, but I think there's something I could do. Anyway, thanks for watching, and have a good game.